You're now watching Haunt Talk with your host Scott from Exploring Attractions and Rob from The Howling Hour, home for all things scary and spooky related.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a very exciting episode of the Haunt Talk podcast. My name is Scott.
And I am Rob.
And today we finally have a haunt announcement, if you will, a major haunt announcement coming from Halloween Horror Nights. And with that being said, Halloween Horror Nights has officially announced its first haunted house for Hollywood, which is A Quiet Place. Woo!
Yes.
Finally. Now, I've been looking a lot into different things, and I've kind of had my thoughts on this week as far as like the rumors go and whatnot. So I've had some time to process this and everything. But we have a couple things to talk about, Rob, because what else happened with Universal?
What? They sorry, I had a brain fart. They announced tickets, and they have the dates that it's going to be running. So it looks like we're starting a week earlier, previous from last year. So I believe it's like the 5th or something like that.
Yeah,
if I'm
I
not
think
mistaken.
so. I think we still started like on the 7th last year. However, it was the second week of September.
Right. It was the second week, and then but this year we're going back into the first weekend of November. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So even more horror nights than last year, because Orlando started August 29th, so we usually start a week after, hence where we're starting the first week of September. But yeah, going into November 5th, which is very exciting, to be honest.
Yes.
I feel like that's how it should be, because then you can go to different haunt events on their closing nights, because a lot of haunt events close on Halloween, so this way you can kind of do them all. Before we get into that, I just want to make sure that you guys are subscribed to both our YouTube channels and that you follow our Haunt Talk Instagram down below, because guys, we're posting a lot of horror stuff on there, like different horror movie facts, different clips and everything. I mean, you can find everything if you're a horror/haunt fan on the Haunt Talk Instagram. So make sure to click the link down below in the description. But I'll stop ranting. Go ahead, Rob.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask you. Did you go when they were open in November? Did you get time to go like when they did it previous years?
Oh yeah, for sure, because they didn't start the Halloween closing night until I want to say a few years ago. Like it was recent, and I quite enjoyed going in November because, like I said, it was number one. It was like a good send off. Like, okay, here's the thing. Like in November, and then this is a good transition into Christmas time.
Yes.
And number two, because I liked going to both Knott's Scary Farm closing night and Horror Nights closing night. However, I think Knott's is also running to November this year.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. But regardless, you can actually do something on Halloween rather than going to like a haunt on closing night. Say if you have kids or stuff like that and you want to take them out trick-or-treating,
right?
Then you have time to go on closing night on a different night, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. Yeah, I'm just excited. We're getting more haunt this year. Again, the date as far as Horror Nights go, the dates are similar, but it's just the way the dates kind of line up. We are getting the first week of September.
Right, yeah. All right, but I guess we should talk about the elephant in the room, and then we'll get a little bit more into tickets later on. A Quiet Place has been announced, and I'll shoot off some quick facts, and then Rob, you can share your thoughts on it. But this Quiet Place haunted house will feature unique sound design. So as we expected, it's a quiet movie or quiet franchise. So how is they going to pull that off in a haunted house experience? Well, they're going to feature unique sound design elements. They're going to have different effects in there, and for the first time ever, Universal is incorporating American Sign Language into one of their haunted houses. So that's kind of the idea of how they're going to pull this off. And it will be based off the first and second movie. It will not be based off the new movie coming out on June 28th. But what's your general thoughts on this, Rob?
Oh man, I'm really excited. I watched the little trailer that they put out, and it's very, very suspenseful. It definitely felt I was getting kind of like Jurassic Park, the kitchen vibes with the raptors, just the way the actors were kind of like portraying how they were kind of scared of the monster, and just overall it gets me excited. I love the clicking noise that they're making, and just I can imagine going through a house and it being really silent, dark, and kind of hearing that noise, and it's very eerie, and I'm just overall excited we get an announcement, and it's a it's not your typical type of house that we kind of get, but I think they're gonna pull it off, especially everything, all the description you just read. I'm excited to see how they're going to do this, and I have complete trust that they're going to do it phenomenally.
Right. So the rumor was that it's going to be in the Walking Dead location, and I
Okay.
mean, probably by the time that we have this up, Murdy will have already confirmed that on Twitter. But if it is in the Walking Dead location, the amount of different like sound effects and everything that they can pull off in that specific building is going to be insane. Because did you ever get a chance to walk through Walking Dead?
Oh yeah, I walked through it probably a good, man, I want to say 100 times, at least
So
at least 100
you
times.
kind of know how like important the sound was in there.
Oh,
Like
for
it was
sure.
very loud, and they
Yes.
played a lot into that. I definitely think that they're going to use that to their advantage, especially if they've had time, because last year they still had the permanent walls up for Walking Dead, and the year before that they had the permanent walls up for Walking Dead. I hope that they knocked them down finally, and that they have just like an empty canvas to kind of really structure the layout that they want for a Horror Nights haunted house. And if they are able to do that, then I mean the possibilities are endless with that, because that's a big building.
Oh, it is for sure, and it's almost. I mean, I don't know if technically it's considered like soundproof environment, but I feel like in there you can control a lot of the elements as far as like hot and cold and loud and silent. So I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it's almost like another soundstage we're getting with there, especially in it. Now, if you're saying like, hopefully they knock all the walls down and they don't have to fit everything into this specific layout. They can kind of be
Right.
free. Then that would be even more amazing, because the possibilities are endless what they could do with that
Yeah.
big of a stage.
Because think of it, you can knock out some of the indoor queue as well and just have an outdoor queue.
Right.
And it start right before you walk into the building. Whereas the past 2 years that they've utilized that, you've had to walk into the inside queue, which is cool because it builds suspense and stuff.
Right.
However, with something like The Quiet Place, I feel like they're going to need the most amount of space possible, because those giant monsters are like, I really hope they're able to pull it off. That's the most scariest thing about the Quiet Place films, is obviously those monsters, and seeing all these different puppets and whatnot is going to look absolutely terrifying. And I really hope that they pull it off, and I have no doubt that they will, because
sure.
there are going to be so many freaking puppets, and I'm sure they're going to do like different projection effects and stuff like that to kind of have like the monsters crawling behind like the screen, and all of a sudden someone pops out or something pops out. That's kind of already what I'm envisioning in my head, and with
Right.
that building they're able to bring that to life even better.
Oh, for sure. I could see even obviously with the monsters you'd have to do some kind of puppetry and how grand they are. But like you're saying, I could see like maybe a victim being attacked by a monster, just kind of running out and run and
Yeah.
just kind of like then getting pulled back or something like that. So the I'm excited to see how they do this.
Yeah, I mean, and the difference between this building in specific and a soundstage is the fact that a soundstage is meant for TV. You know what I mean? And this building is so tiny. Like, I've been in it several times now for the actual attraction and for like behind the scenes stuff. And the amount of like stuff that they have, even just up on the catwalk, and how close it is to the
Okay.
actual ground level compared to what a typical soundstage would be, is going to be insane as far as the future of their attractions go inside that building. Not also to say they'll get this every single year for Horror Nights. However, if they do get it every single year, it's going to be an unmatched location. So I'm pretty excited to see what they pull off in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just we're getting we get our Hollywood gets its first house announcement.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and
finally.
it's finally, right, and it's a solid property and a solid location. So I'm not complaining.
No, not at all. Like, I'm pretty freaking excited, man.
Right.
I think that there definitely will be some doubt as far as people go, like how are they going to pull off Quiet Place? But then again, how are they able to pull off Chucky, a tiny doll? And they did it. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Well, even
And,
I was
look at that giant Chucky. Who
Right.
thought to do a giant Chucky? And it just
Right.
worked.
Well, even with the I would say what I reference is like Monstros and the stuff they
Yeah.
did last year, like with the animatronics and the puppets and everything, just how grand those things were. So I
Right.
think this will fit right in line with kind of what they can do and how the scale of what they can the puppets that they can put on.
Yeah, yeah. I think that people forget sometimes on how talented some of the HHN creative team is. And keep in
Right.
mind, we haven't talked a lot about Orlando because like we're not as familiar with where that's going to go. I'm assuming it'll
Right.
probably be in a sound stage. But I mean, same thing for Orlando. They're very heavy on their scenic design. So I think with Quiet Place, that's a very scenic house that I think is going to be pulled off perfectly for them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah.
I mean, they always Orlando. They always get solid. Their houses look amazing. So I'm not worried about them over there.
Yeah, and honestly, like you said, the Quiet Place trailer that they put out was pretty cool. Like,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I see what you mean about the Jurassic Park vibes. Like, for those people who have watched the films, you guys get that vibe from this trailer. Because literally, we hopped on. We already planned in this Zoom call, and we hopped on the Zoom call, and Rob goes, "Yeah, I thought it was Jurassic Park vibes." I was like, what a random thing to say, but I love it. That's why I love Rob so much.
That's what I felt. That's what I felt. I was like,
Exactly. They do
just-
sound like raptors too.
oh yeah, for sure. Like
know?
the way the Raptors they do their little, like, but it sounds just like
Yeah.
that. But just them being, I think they were in in the trailer. They were in a laundry mat, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I got Jurassic Park kitchen vibe. So, but good because that scene terrified me for years. So
Right, exactly. Yeah.
this trailer did an amazing job.
Imagine like hearing the clicking throughout the house. Like that's gonna
Oh,
be
yeah.
really cool.
For sure.
And then like I think for sure they're gonna be able to control because even in like regular houses they're able to control like silence and loudness. But for sure in the building,
Oh,
in
yeah.
specific, I think they'll really be able to control like you walk into a room and it's just complete silence, and then out of nowhere you hear clicking, and then all of a sudden a monster jump. Like I definitely think that this is going to be one of the most unique houses that we have ever experienced, just because of the premises of the film and the settings and everything. Like we're gonna see stuff that we're not used to in there, which
Right.
it could work out very good, and it could fail. But I mean, how will you know if you don't try it?
Right, and that's where I say, good on Horror Nights, trying something new, making an effort. I mean, you typically you walk through a house and it's usually loud, and you got all these things these bells and whistles going off. This is a quiet place. I mean, it's in the title right there, a quiet place. How are they going to pull this off? So kudos to them for trying something different. So I'm excited.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that this will be a sleeper house for sure, and not because it's quiet, but meaning a sleeper house on the rankings for sure. And honestly, like the key art looks great. They're doing great
Yes.
with the trailers. I'm kind of happy that they kind of are straying away from the whole like let's tie in every trailer to each other, because this
Yeah.
was like an original trailer. Last year they were trying like let's try to tie in every trailer, and then it was kind of like an open-ended finale. So hopefully they just do like these original ones. But you know what original trailer I really enjoyed was back in 2022 when they did Blumhouse and with Freaky and the Black
Oh,
Phone,
okay,
where
okay.
in the elevator the grabber was popped up there. Like I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was
So I
definitely.
wanna see stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I think I understand the tie-in kind of thing. I get it, and but I do really enjoy it. For me personally, I enjoy these like this trailer is for
Right.
this house and it's announcing this house. So
Right, and
like-
like you can still have your original twist with it, but also
Right.
feature the IP.
right.
So, yeah, our first announcement's an IP announcement, and we thought that Hollywood was going to go the route of announcing originals too, like Orlando did, but we got an IP announcement, a dual joint coast announcement, both Orlando and Hollywood. And yeah, like I said, I think that with A Quiet Place, there are so many different scenes that can be brought to life. Like, I mean, even the ending scene of A Quiet Place 2 with all the blue and the red lights,
Right.
and then her obviously like stabbing the monster, and then you flip to the other setting where the kid's with the mom and he shoots the monster. There are so many different elements that they can bring to life, and so many different scenes that I want to see brought. I mean, if they're able to somehow do some projection mapping or something,
Right.
where it's like that kind of red water scene where she's in the basement, you know what I'm talking
Yes,
about?
yes.
And the monster just goes down and then randomly pops back up. That'll really blow my mind out of the water. No pun
Terrifying
intended.
scene. Yeah, terrifying scene. It's very
Yeah.
very suspenseful.
Yeah, I there are just so many scenes I can think of that'll work. I mean, you have where they're in, what's that called? Where they're in, is it like a silo? Is it?
Oh yeah. They're like in the barn, right? And with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
with the
Yeah,
like
and
the
all
corn.
the seeds and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
the corn,
yeah.
So I mean,
Well,
there's
then
that. You know.
You could do some kind of cornfield because they're where the
Yeah.
silos at. You have all that stuff.
Yeah, and the
I
monsters can be running through the cornfield.
yes. See all those little things. Like you don't even need to see a monster. You just see like you're walking through a cornfield and you hear like this rustling with the clicks and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
there's so many things you can do.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the roof is set so high.
Yeah.
Or I guess that's the wrong wording for it. There's no ceiling for this, I should say. Like their possibilities
Right.
are endless as far as what they can do, as far as what creative can do. And like you
Right.
brought up a good point with Monstros. If they're able to pull off stuff like that, then I definitely can see them pulling off some like out of this world stuff with this one as well. But,
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I have again, Horror Nights every year. Whether I feel the house is the best or the least my favorite of that year, I can always say that when it comes to certain things, like especially puppets and stuff like that, for me, I think they've done an amazing job. Like I mentioned, Monstros. I think like even with the animatronics, like the werewolf ones, like all the animatronics they've done, Chucky. The things they've done like
Yeah.
that, they've always knocked it out of the park for me.
Yeah, what do you think of them bringing like a puppet? Like, do you think they could pull it off well?
I think they could. I think done right. I think it can be done. I don't know how they would do it. My mind
Yeah.
isn't there, but you got some creative geniuses over there at Universal at Horror Nights. So they've been obviously working on this for months, possibly
Yeah.
even a year or two. Trying to figure out how we're gonna do this. So I think they're gonna kill it.
Yeah, same here. Well, any last thoughts on A Quiet Place before we go into tickets?
No, I'm just excited. It's something new and fresh, and I'm glad we get our first announcement.
I know, about time. But on top of that, we didn't just get that announcement. We also got the tickets announced and
Right.
dates, like you said. So September 5th through November 3rd. So if you go on the website right now, tickets are on sale. So, I mean, I think tickets are ranging, like they start off at $77 for general admission. Frequent Fear Pass is back. Frequent Fear Pass is $209. And then there's the Ultimate one, which I think is like $329.
Yeah, it's like $329, I believe.
Okay. And then they have the RIP tour, which I did last year for the first time ever, and it was a great experience. I think that I'm going to try to do that again this year. But one thing that I know Hollywood fans are going to be a little bit picky about is the paid early entry is returning this year.
Yeah, I'm not.
Me and you have two different opinions on it.
I'm not the biggest fan of it. So, and I have my reasons. So, I don't know. Do you want to tell people why you like it or don't like it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I've touched on it before, and I've been public about it. I think that all theme parks and attractions do their cash grabs, This is one that looked like it was going to be a cash grab. In my opinion, it worked out good for me. Now, I can't speak for everyone, but I did early entry like 4 different times, and I paid like $15, which I'm paying for that premium experience to get early into the park, right? So you would expect for you to be able to do a couple houses, which I was able to do. I was able to do Stranger Things every time. I was able to do Holidays in Hell every time. Like, I loved it. The only downside was the fact that early on in the season, they didn't have enough cast scheduled for the beginning of that night. So there wouldn't be that full experience, even though they're paying for early entry into those houses. However, I would say for the amount of times that you're able to walk through the houses before and the amount of times that you're able to go back and walk through them, it was worth it for me. Paying $15 each time, like that's nothing. You know, I mean, I get speak for everyone else, like when I say this, but like when you're paying for general admission tickets, it's already $70. What is another $15 if you want to get in early? I get it. Not everybody has the funds to do that.
Right.
However, it's not like they're charging $40 extra to get in. Because if that was the case, then I'd be like, whoa, that's a little bit ridiculous here. You know what I mean?
No,
that's kind of
I
my
agree.
take on early entry, at least.
Well, I mean, and you kind of mentioned it. Maybe later on in the season, maybe they fix the issue. But I went,
Right.
and for me, because I go to a bunch of events, I typically only hit Horror Nights once or twice. So I went opening night, and I did the early entry. And as you mentioned, early on in the season, that's when I went, and going through the houses, definitely. And this is the only reason why I knew there were less characters, less,
Right, yeah.
and a good amount of less characters. And the reason I know this because I also that night I got the Unlimited Express. So, you know, I get in. You know, I think having early entry is cool to get in early. You know, kind of you're not rushing. You kind of beat the crowd a little bit. You know, the actual opening crowd. So I get that. I understand that. But going through the houses, it just there was a lack of characters, and it was noticeable. And I noticed it because when I went through when the event was actually running, I was like, oh hey, those characters weren't there before, and now they're there. So, and I think 2 houses before the park opened, and I was just like, oh, okay, like they weren't there before, they weren't there before, they weren't there before. And it was very noticeable for me in the Stranger Things house. So I was just like, oh, okay. So for me, again, if you're saying that maybe later on in the season, they kind of fix that issue, because I could see that being, for people who are paying that, an issue, and maybe vocalizing it. And if Horror Nights, Universal fix that later on, kudos to them, good on them. But for me, going opening night, I was just like, I wouldn't do early entry again, because I'm missing out on some scares. So that was more my gripe. But I agree with you.
And see, that's why it's different for everybody, because obviously you only go once or twice. So for you, if you're going the first couple weekends, then like you're gonna have the experience,
right?
Which Universal should be able to address that this year. But yeah, I get it, because like that was your first experience. You weren't going in October like I was, nor were you going as frequently as I was, so I could see the trial and error. So that's where it's different with everybody, I feel, and also like everybody has their different priorities. Some people want to do just the houses. Some people, like myself, like to just, like you said, beat the crowd. I don't like to wait in the crowd at 7:00 and everybody push through. I like to already be lined up at the Terror Tram, like before the crowd even gets there. So it's nice to be able to relax and be away from that crowd, but like an hour and a half before, and maybe get a drink or two before. So it definitely comes down to different priorities and different wants when talking about early entry as well.
Oh, for sure. And for me, and I say that, I feel like I'm, kind of speaking negative of the early entry. For me...
No, you're just speaking on your experience.
For me, even though the characters were lacking, I'm right with you. I will pay that extra, I think it's 15. Some nights I think it was like 25.
Yeah, I think the highest it went was 25.
Yeah, I'll pay that extra to not be in that crowd and get in a little early.
Yeah.
So whatever I say about the characters not being in there, I'm right on board with you about being there, sitting down, having a little snack before the event actually kicks off, just to be in the park and be like, all right, cool, I don't have to get through, the gates and, go through the crowd and then get to a maze. I can be like, all right, well, I'm going to plop myself right here, eat a little snack, eat some chips, have a drink, and then go into this house right here.
Yeah, I hope that they cap the space off a little bit this year, because if not, then it's definitely going to cause more issues. And I mean, they should cap it off. Like, they really, if it's early, like with the premium scare night in Orlando, I feel like that should be capped off too.
Right,
but,
agreed.
It's not. But anyways, other than that, all the tickets are out. You can buy a frequent Fear Pass. You can buy early entry. You can buy a multi-night combo, day-night combo. All that stuff is already out. Now all that's left is to be excited for Halloween Horror Nights this year.
Yes.
But that's really all the Horror Nights news that we have for today, and just all the haunt news that we have for today. We will be doing podcasts like this or shows like this where announcements come out and we just do like 25-minute shows just to kind of brainstorm our stuff. So
Right.
it'll happen with Scary Farm. It'll happen with more Queen Mary's announcements. Oh, by the way, Queen Mary, just random. Dark Harbor announced Scary Mary as one of their icons, so that's exciting. Just a little plug there to Dark Harbor. But yeah, we'll definitely have these shows to where they're a little bit shortened in length, and then we'll have obviously our typical shows to where we run down a bunch of different horror news.
Right.
But anything else from you, Rob?
No, just excited. I'm excited. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Quiet Place coming to HHN 2024 officially. But anyways, everybody, if you're new here, please subscribe to both The Howling Hour, Rob, and myself, Exploring Attractions, and follow us on our Instagram at Haunt Talk. And if you don't follow us, then I will literally get one of those Quiet Place monsters to chase you down. Anyways, everybody, my name is Scott.
And I am Rob.
And you've been watching the Haunt Talk podcast. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.